Gentlemen, Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen Sewer Commission meeting, April 3rd, 2012. I'm going to read a statement I usually do. I am requesting all cell phones, electronic devices be turned off or in a mute position as to not disturb the meeting. Any member of the public also has a right to make an audio or video recording of an open session of a public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform other attendees of such recording at the beginning of the meeting. We'll now call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Begley, Chairman Cruz, Selectman Holmes are present, as is Town Administrator Mr. Andrews. As we open tonight's meeting, under announcements, we actually open under a sad moment. And if we could have just a quick moment of silence for Mrs. Clayton Gardner.
Marge Gardner.
It is with sad news that we announce the loss of a very special volunteer and wonderful member of the Friends of the Wareham's Elderly. Past Vice President Mrs. Marjorie F. Clayton Gardner from Wareham passed away this past weekend. There will be no calling hours, but a celebration of life will be held at the Emmanuel Church of the Nazarene on 6 Rogers Avenue on Thursday at 1 p.m., followed with burial in the Massachusetts National Cemetery in Bourne. Many folks know this wonderful person who worked for 15 years as our Old Colony Nutrition Director at the COA, as well as a trustee for the Friends of Wareham Elderly these past 5 years. She was involved with the Friends as a member for many more. She has devoted many more years to the service of others here in Brockton and in Bridgewater. And if I'm not mistaken, we just honored Marjorie here about a month or so ago, or 2 months ago, with a certificate and a plaque. So to the family of Mrs. Gardner, our thoughts and prayers and condolences. On to the announcements. This week's coffee hour. A chance to have coffee and chat with interesting guests. This week, we welcome Ed Pasevich, a discussion of Article 43, amend earth removal, and 43, amend general. It's got to be 2 different articles there, Bob. Where are you? It's 43 and whatever, right? Okay. And the nitrogen and wastewater on the Springtown meeting warrant, 9 o'clock, Thursday, April 5th, right downstairs here in room 225 in the Wareham Multi-Service Center. I've attended these coffees before. They're actually pretty good. Our garden club on April the 12th will hold its regular monthly meeting at the Fellowship Hall, First Congressional Church on Gibbs Avenue at 9:30. Following the business meeting, 2 presentations will be held. The first will be about horticulture and is entitled Bottoms Up, Root Health. The second one will be about design mechanics and will feature garden club designers who will show how to form strong foundations in gardening and will reveal the hidden blueprint of a floral design. Again, that's going to be on Thursday, April 12th at 9:30. And for the young at heart, on Friday, April 6th, which is also Good Friday, and schools will be closed for the day. So that's one part of the announcement. At the Wareham Free Library and Little People's College in Wareham are sponsoring 2 puppet shows by Pitter Patter Puppets. Say that 10 times fast. The first show will be at 10 a.m. and is geared towards children 6 and under. The second show at 11:15 a.m. is geared for children 6 to 11. Both shows will last about 45 minutes. That's on Good Friday. On April the 12th at 6:30 in Town Hall Auditorium, there'll be a workshop for landlords. Speakers include a housing court judge and clerk, as well as representatives from the Board of Health, Inspectional Services, and the UMass Dartmouth Lead Paint Program. That's April the 12th, 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. Find a book, perhaps a job. Next week is National Library Week. The Wareham Free Library is celebrating National Library Week from April 8th through April 14th. Visitors who stop in will receive pencils, keychains, whiteboards, bookmarks, and more while supplies last. For more information, you can visit the library's website at www.warehamfreelibrary.org, or you can call the library at 508-295-2343. I'm not sure what the job part was, but I'm sure there's more information there than meets the eye. The Wareham Village Association will hold its monthly meeting, and this month it's on the second Thursday at 5:30 at the Eastern Bank, so that would be next Thursday. And the most fun of all, egg hunt and story time at the library. And this will be held on April the 7th at 11 a.m. Celebrate the arrival of spring with an egg hunt and story time for all ages. 1 to 8. April 7th. Oh, for ages. 1 to 8. Wow. I was going to say it's awful late for kids, but it's for ages 1 to 8, April 7th, 11 to 12, at the Wareham Free Library. Come at 11 for face painting, coloring, story is read by children's librarian Mrs. Hickey before the hunt for the eggs begin. So I guess we can't participate. We're a little over the age of 8. So that should be a good time. And then we had Mr. Gaines's thing. Mr. Begley, have anything? Mr. Cruz?
No, I don't.
Mr. Andrews? That will end the announcements for now. Citizens' participation is next, Mr. Chair.
Citizen participation? Have one hand. Step forward. Thank you.
My name is Gerald Barros, and before I ask the question, since the polls close at 8 p.m. tonight, and that for the 2-year selectmen, it hasn't been ratified by the governor yet. If he ratifies it after 8 p.m., is that vote going to be legal? Because if the person is running for 3-year selectmen, and they lose, then they have a right to go for 2 years because it wasn't ratified by 8 p.m. because polls close at 8 p.m. I just want to know if that's going to be a legal question.
Okay, we have the lawyer sitting beside you, and that's why he's here to answer that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Administrator, and Mr. Barros. Just by way of background, as you will recall, originally we had asked for a governor's bill that would have been passed prior to the election that would have said the shorter time frame is fine, and that's what in fact we had requested. The governor's staff instead decided that they would rather have a bill that they would file after the election, and through contacts with the governor's legal counsel and telephone calls with Representative Gifford, Senator Pacheco, just to see how this would be handled. It's the governor's intention to file a bill after 8 o'clock and ratify the results of the election. So in terms of the results for the two-year seat, practically speaking, what does that mean? What it means is that the person who is elected will be the selectman-elect for purposes of the two-year seat. None of this has any effect on the three-year seat or on any other race that's on the ballot. The governor will file the bill. It should work its way through the legislature. Our legislators have told us that it would move fairly quickly, and that upon passage by the legislature and signature by the governor, the electoral result for the two-year seat would be confirmed, and the person who gets the most votes can take the oath of office and assume a seat as selectman. I've confirmed this scenario with legal counsel at the Secretary of State's election division, and that is how it will work.
Okay, thank you very much. You have any?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I didn't see any other hands for citizen participation. Westfield discussion.
Did we get the, I didn't get to see the tape last week. Did we get the sewer capacities? Last week?
Yes, they did.
We
Yes.
did.
They do, and they do have capacity
Did we also get the letter from Mr. Bowen
pertaining to,
to the request for CPC money?
Sorry,
The, if you, I guess, if you want to. I apologize, I didn't get to watch the tape yet from last week, but we were waiting for two items. One was the sewer capacity, which we have, right? And the second was legal opinion on who would ask for X number of dollars from CPC, right?
To be encumbered for the
For the Westfield
project.
Oh, who would? Well, I'll.
We've been told just so you know, we've been told weekly that you're working on this, so.
But
Okay.
we were, may I?
Yeah.
yes, go ahead.
The question was whether it would be the developer, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but can the Board of Selectmen apply for CPC funds for the Westfield project to be encumbered for the project?
Well, first let me explain how the process works, and then we'll try to work the question into the process. In order for any CPC money to be spent, you need two things. You need recommendation of the CPC, I should say CPA money. You need the recommendation of the CPC to spend the money, and you need a warrant article that approves of the expenditure. So if the selectmen wanted to use CPA money for any purpose, doesn't matter. What you would have to do would be to go to the CPC and say, hey folks, we have an idea. We could use X number of dollars for project X. Would you be willing to entertain such a proposal? They would meet on it. There would be a discussion. They would take their vote. And their vote could either be, yes, we think that's a great idea. We will recommend that to town meeting. Let's get an article together. Or it could be, we don't like that idea. We're not going to recommend it, so you're not going to get an article. It's as simple as that.
I think the question goes a little deeper, though, to procedure. The Board of Selectmen, we are the ones who are putting out the RFP, right? We are the ones who would approve the project. And I think the question, Rich, goes a little more towards that. As the body that's going to make those decisions, right? Is it, I don't know if legal's the right word, but is it appropriate for the Board of Selectmen to be the ones to go to CPC? And do we appoint those folks?
Yes. Are you asking if it's a conflict for the Board of Selectmen to?
Both, yeah.
Yeah. Well, would it be a conflict for you to, well, let me address the conflict one, because I think that's the one that I understand the most here. Yeah, it's a policy question. I mean, you have a particular policy that you want to promote. It wouldn't matter if you appointed the people who are on that board.
Okay.
It's a function of government. The fact that you appointed them doesn't mean that they're going to agree with you. Doesn't mean they have to agree with you. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing unethical, nothing improper. It happens all the time. So I think that one's okay. Now, Steve, or Selectman Holmes, pardon me, in terms of putting out the RFP, and I don't know if this goes to your question, so stop me if I'm on the wrong path. I know sometimes the CPC, when it awards money for a particular project, sometimes it will require that the recipient of the money allow it to do the procurement. Is that heading towards your question?
Yeah, I think the big dilemma, or all we wanted to do was get it clarified that this board could do exactly what you said, put together a document, go to CPC, present the project, and ask them for X number of dollars. And we just wanted to make sure that there was no issues with that.
Steve, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Thank you.
Short answer.
I don't know.
Any other discussion on Westfield?
Well, in that case, Mr. Chairman, if we have the two questions answered, A and B, the sewer and the question going to CPC, then let's get the final document out. It's done?
Mr.
Except for
Chair,
Yes.
those
Mr.
issues.
Mulkern is on the Westfield Committee.
Oh.
And he had something to add, I think.
I'd like to get this thing out the sewer here.
Me too.
Keep kicking it around.
I'm sorry I'm so late, but I'm glad I got there just in time. You were talking about the appropriation of funds there. Last week or the week before, I had called the Department of Revenue, and I talked to a Mr. Jim Crowley, and he told me that the selectmen have the authority to submit this article to the CPC funds, and if you want to check it out, the town of Hanover is doing the same thing. As long as we own the land,
Which
we can do it.
I always liked Mr. Crowley.
And also in the Westfield, I call them about the Westfield ball fields, in regards to monies for that. We cannot use money, CPC funds for restoration, okay?
For recreation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so if we could get an email out to Mr. Haney. Get an email out to Mr. Haney to forward to us the final
RFP.
RFP. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm helping.
And I'd like to get that this week if we could by next Tuesday night.
Anything else on Westfield? If not, consent agenda, Mr. Holmes?
Last week. Oh, I thought he had something to say. Now, last week you did some of the interviews, right? Mr. Ciccatelli, did you do him last week?
No, we're going, do you have the agenda?
I'm on the consent agenda.
Oh, you must have the wrong one.
It says interview and/or appointments to cable.
No.
Oh,
Last week.
I got the wrong paper in front of me. I apologize.
There's one up
What's
front.
that?
You wanna- Derek, you want to?
Sorry? Well, by the puzzled look on your face.
Just one.
I may have opened the wrong folder. That wouldn't be too good, would it? Sorry about
Okay,
that.
authorization to sign bills and documents. Approval of invoice number 7432.
Let's see if this is a little.
There it is.
Okay. Thank God. Okay, first up, we have, I move that we approve invoice number 7432 dated 3/20, 2012 from Blattman, Bobrowski, and Mead LLC in the amount of $15,000.
Motion made. Steve, second by Ellen. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 500. Oh, I'm sorry.
3.
3.
Well, we're having a little trouble getting out of the gate tonight.
Yeah, we're stumbling along
No,
here.
Mrs. Begley's keeping us on track, so that's good. Next up, we have an application received from Lindsay's. Is there someone here to speak on this? There was some email today that someone might not be here.
Yes,
No one is coming?
on hold, Mr. Chairman.
Put on hold. Put on hold.
Hold. Okay, I make a motion that we put this on hold until, did they give us a date?
I believe it was till April 10th in the body of the email. Mr. Andrews, do you have the email?
Okay, I move to place item A on hold until April 10th. And if we are going to do that on April 10th, please give the recipients a little more advance notice. Just a side note to the office. That's second.
Oh, sorry, that was a motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Motion made, and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
Item B is an application for a one-day wine and malt beverage license for Wine Tasting Foundation for Wareham Education and Carol William Ellis, to be held on May 18th, 2012, at the Box Mill Hall, Tyhonet Marketplace in Wareham.
That's why he's here.
Yeah, because last week he wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Thank you for coming, Bill.
Thank you.
Would you talk to us about your event? Please identify yourself. And
I am William Ellis. I'm representing the Foundation for Wareham Education tonight. What that is, we help some of the classrooms throughout schools in Wareham, some classrooms. We raise money, and if they need, some extra art supplies. There was a couple of field trips last year, a couple other science projects that they don't have the money in the budget for, and we're just trying to raise money and donate it. We've held a couple of wine tastings before at Ella's Restaurant on Cranberry Highway, and, their capacity is, I believe, 70 people in the restaurant. We're looking to get something a little bigger, so they come up with the idea of doing it at Makepeace's property, the Box Mill Hall, up off Tyhonet Road. And we're going to have there's some restaurants that have been in touch with, Ella's, Charlie's Place, Bailey's, Lindsay's, and I'm not sure who else. But they're going to bring in samples of food, whether it's lobster bisque or chowder or, something like that. And we're getting the wine and beer donated from different people. And we just have a wine tasting, and they're calling it the Taste of Wareham. Or some of the local restaurants and business people that are going to come in and donate some of the food. I know Charlie's Place, Harry, he's going to be there, and he's volunteered to serve, and he is tip certified. Is it tip certified? Question I brought to me after I put the application in is, do we need a liquor license where we're not selling the wine, it's just a tasting?
I'm getting a head shake.
Yes, Mr. Bowden.
But I wasn't sure, so that's why I just put the application in, and
Glad I'm here.
me too.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board,
Sure.
you only need a liquor license if you're selling the alcohol. Oh, thanks. $5 for a, fancy cocktail, $2 for a beer. Well, I'd be there for that. But, if cash is changing hands for the drink, you need a license. If you have to pay to get into it before you can have a sip, you need a license because you're still selling. I call it the free beer test. If I'm wandering on the street and I show up and I can just walk in and get a free beer, no license needed. If I walk along the street and I show up and you charge me $10 or whatever to get in before I can have my free beer, you're selling it. It's indirect payment. So you are selling tickets for $35 a person. unless I paid that $35, I couldn't have a sip.
Correct. You wouldn't
So
be
you're
allowed-
selling.
Right.
So you do need
Okay,
one.
so I do need one. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bowe.
Okay, the fees paid.
So this is May 18th.
Yes, that's
6
what
to 10.
we're proposing right now. We're just on hold until the license, until after tonight.
I'm kind of doing a little advertising for you.
Okay, appreciate it.
Now, I see...
And I do have tickets with me just in case.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Now, I see that you have a board of directors. Do you have, can just anybody be involved in helping out with these kinds of projects? Or
Yes.
because I had a citizen that approached me that's new to Wareham, that was very involved in their previous community, and this is pretty much the kind of thing that they were involved in.
Okay.
So I'll see if I can find her name and number that she gave me and kind of refer her to you. Is that all right?
That sounds good. Yeah, take any help. And, on the board of directors is, myself, Gloria Peel's the president, Jeff Hathaway's on it, Marcine Fernandez, Richard Paulson, Chris Smith, I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple of them. And a couple of new ones on, too.
Wonderful.
You have any questions from the board?
So are these the definite date and the definite time?
As long as we get our license.
That's what I mean.
Yes, that's, like I said, this is what, they've already made the posters up, and, well, everything's on hold until after tonight, though.
Okay.
But that would be the time from 6 to 10, May 18th. I believe that's a Friday night. Friday evening, yes.
You gonna make a motion?
Motion's in order?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we approve the application for a one-day wine and malt beverage license for wine tasting for the Foundation for Wareham Education, care of William Ellis, to be held on May 18th, 2012, at the Box Mill Hall, Tyhonet Marketplace in Wareham.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Bill.
What's the process? Do I pick the license up at the selectman's office?
Yes, Shirley will
When?
help you.
The day of, or?
No, tomorrow, you can pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll sign it tonight.
Oh, okay. I will get, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And, like I said, yeah, just have that lady get in touch with me.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there someone here from Sullivan's?
Sullivan,
Sullivan Wine and Liquors, I'm sorry.
did you get the right?
I think
It's
I'm
on
on the
here.
right page again. Don't tell me I'm on the wrong page. This is for a change of hours.
Item C?
The selectmen, yes. Says here that the selectman's office in receipt acknowledges the notification of Sullivan Wine and Liquors for a change of hours for the sale of alcohol. The store will be closed on Easter Sunday, April the 8th. And they were just asking for permission to close on it.
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we approve that change of hours.
Second.
Motion made by Steve, second by Ellen. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Is anyone here representing Gleason Family YMCA? Nobody's in tonight.
No.
This is for the, I make a motion that we approve the application for use of town roads by Gleason Family YMCA, care of Joanne Watson, 33 Charge Pond Road, for the 10th annual 5K road race through the village of Onset on Sunday, May 19th, 2012, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Second.
Motion made by Steve, second by Ellen. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
Town Administrator's Report.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the board and listening audience, in the audience here tonight. Just want to give an update with regards to the Wareham Works. We had the third annual Wareham Works Business Expo last Friday, March 30th, and it was held in the Memorial Auditorium. The motif for the theme this year was education is a key to success. We had just about every college and university president in the region or representation from them, and also including representatives from the Wareham Public Schools, Superintendent Rabinovich, and also representatives from the Upper Cape Regional Vocational School. And our efforts centered upon business-to-business educational connections with regards to increasing efforts for workforce development and also other initiatives. I want to thank the Community and Economic Development Board as well as the Board of Selectmen staff and administrative staff with regards to the planning of this event. I also want to personally express my sincere appreciation for the participation of Dunkin' Donuts, Cozy, Minerva's Restaurant, and China Garden for participating and bringing a festive touch to this event. This is the third year that we've put this in place, and we'll keep working to make sure that we can strengthen our workforce development and business and educational contacts. Second item, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to report to the board that on Thursday, March 15th, we convened a conference call with Ms. Diane Sullivan from the Massachusetts School Building Authority. She's the Senior Capital Project Manager. Also on her, working with her, Mr. Brendan Melican, who is also the field coordinator for the Minot Forest School project. As we all know, the clock is ticking. We have 270 days to move forward with the renovation of the Minot Forest School. Also in attendance was Chairman Cruz, Chairman Jeff Sweat of the School Committee, Frank Heath, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Charlie Kluber, member from the Capital Planning Committee, Michelle Ruiz, Administrative Assistant to the School Superintendent, Ms. Joan Siemens, Principal of the Minot Forest School, and myself. And we really got down to the nitty-gritty details of what is going to be required to move forward to trigger certain resources coming back from the state with regards to the first step in the process. There are 8 steps. This initial step is a critical one, calling for a study with regards to the educational and financial and operational planning going forward. It was a very productive conference call.
I don't think we voted that until after the conference call,
This
Mr.
was
Holmes.
taken
It's on the
place
15th.
before last. So last week, Mrs. Begley is on that committee.
Yep.
No, she is. No, this
Yeah.
is a different committee.
What was it?
The initial conference call.
And it's a planning group. It's actually a good point, Mr. Clerk. And I believe Selectwoman Begley was appointed after we had this initial conference call. Yes. Sure. Mr. Chairman, you might recall back in January, actually before that, in December, the governor announced a $4 million community challenge grant that challenged many of the communities in the South Coast region across the state to work on a more regional basis, if you will, with regards to a number of initiatives. And through Serpent, our planning entity, we applied with a number of communities on the South Coast for funding for online solutions relative to burning permits and flammable combustible storage. And so we are joining with, working with fire chiefs and the building department. We will be working to put a planning group together. We did receive for the South Coast region $76,800 for this collaborative grant that was put in place. There was a State House ceremony back a couple weeks back. I attended it on behalf of the town and participated in it at the Great Hall at the State House. And the goal of the program is to encourage municipalities to develop innovative regional and internal ways to provide better core services. And please be advised that I attended once again this award ceremony on Friday, March 16th. Mr. Chairman, we are working, and we have Attorney Bowen here with us, I think, on the final processes of documentation relative to so-called Article 48 charter change relative to the Board of Sewer Commissioners. And I'm not sure, Attorney, if you'd like to address that, or just give us perhaps an update. I know you've been working. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, had been working with Senate Counsel on language that Senate Counsel would find acceptable. Had a number of back and forth discussions, and I want to say a month or two ago, perhaps at this point, finally reached an agreement on language that Senate Counsel would find acceptable. Senate Counsel was worried about a possible conflict with I want to say a 1940 special act, and ultimately, at my suggestion, that was resolved by including the magic words, notwithstanding any law to the contrary, blah, 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 blah. So from our end of the business, the language is done, it should be ready to go, and I guess it's just a question of when it gets approved. Yes, sir.
Rich, what is the next step here? Does it go back to town meeting now, or does it just go on the next ballot?
I believe the way it was sent up to them, it didn't require any further action, but what I've seen over the years is that in many cases, the legislature will, as you're hinting at, will impose a ballot acceptance requirement. So, if you ask me to bet $10 as to what would happen, the legislature will approve it, but will modify it by putting in a requirement that it come back for acceptance at an election forthcoming. And then...
well, you're a lawyer. I'd expect you to bet 10,000. But no, we approved some language. Well, we had approved some language a few weeks ago, as I recall. And the way it was presented, as I remember correctly, hopefully, is that if we approved that language that was on the paper that night, that it wouldn't have to go back to town meeting.
It doesn't have to, excuse me. Attorney Bowen, you're saying it doesn't have to go back to town meeting.
Correct.
But it could be very likely that it would come back and have to go on the ballot.
Yes.
It has to go on the ballot, right?
Yeah,
I got that part.
That's
Not town meeting.
you're both correct. Even though that's not what we asked for, I'd say more likely than not, the legislature will put that in there anyway. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize, I skipped over item D, and thank you, Attorney, for that. I'd like to just quickly run through, you will have in your hands very shortly, that was completed last Thursday, a transition report and transition plan that myself and staff worked very hard on. It's kind of a thick document, but it's meant to be able to touch upon 10 key areas.
There's only one person has it.
Let me just touch upon it, Mr. Chairman, and I just want to make sure that we have this down pat. There's a cover letter of transmittal. There's also a schedule of events going forward with respect to certain types of coordination. And then there are 10 tabs from audit, budget, finance, police department, public safety, accreditation efforts, economic development, strategic planning, school department, sewer project, transportation, and also there's an update from town departments that will be supplying additional updates as we go forward over the next week's time. And you will find that in each section I provided a narrative relative to where we stand on each of these key areas for not only for the Board of Selectmen but the interim town administrator. And you also see that I've made some fairly bold recommendations that I think the town needs to take a hard look at, that have been talked about, and there's been a fairly high level of discourse and conversation about. But I think there's time to take some action on some of these areas that will bring efficiencies, not only to the town operations, but provide the town, I think, with the ability to strengthen itself going forward from an administrative standpoint. So I know it's a thick document. It didn't quite fit into your mailbox, so I brought them tonight, so you have a copy of them. And we'll provide the, additional copies to both members Winslow and Schneider and the incoming members of the board. So I'll let you digest them, and then you can give me some feedback if you want me to expound upon certain things. I think the important thing is to provide stability with regards to administration, and also provide, once again, some creative and innovative ways to think going forward about how to strengthen ourselves in these 10 important areas. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, on that. Mr. Chairman, just on working together, we have been working, and I'm going to save most of this for when we go through the articles, when we get to the budget. Mr. Sullivan and staff have been working very hard with the school department and other departments to come up with hopefully a comprehensive budget solution to the fiscal 2013 budget. On town hall virtualization, I know we're closing down the process, and I know I will be bringing forth an update once I get with Mr. Underhill and arrange for a better update at hopefully sometime this week. The Financial Management Action Plan, what came in late today, was Justin Cole did provide an update. We'll weave that into the grid that we had with the 50-plus items. Just haven't had a chance to put it into form. He has an update for the board in the Finance Committee that will, I believe, bring us through the month of January. And so I'll get that to you in electronic form and also in printed form, hopefully sometime before the end of the week. That's on my report, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, I just have a couple of quickies. On the town hall virtualization project, we voted a few weeks ago to have Mr. Underhill come, and then I think Mrs. Begley upped that to have the vendor come as well, right? So that's what we're expecting to see on that, Mark.
Sure.
Those 2 or 3 people, or whoever that is, to do the presentation. And on this transition report, the Board of Selectmen are going to determine what happens here after we review this with you, correct?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Selectman Holmes, this is my transition report and plan, so if you have any ideas or ways that you can see that we can improve upon it.
In other words, we're going to get a chance to read through we just gave this to us now. We're going to get a chance to read through this before this is enacted, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Any other questions?
There was one other question. You know, there was something I heard on a tape this week. I was in and out of working on that floor, but last week, I think, there was a question at the Action Committee about the purchase of a bus or a vehicle. And I want to say the answer was that the school department, and I'm trying to raise Marty, I'm just trying to get an answer to a question. And the school department said that they procured the bus. Now, as I watched the Finance Committee meeting from last week, the question was asked again over this article that's being presented to town meeting about buying buses with money overrides. And it was said that the school department doesn't procure these vehicles, that it's the town, well, by nature of the town administrator, because he's the procurement officer. So if I could get an answer to that question, who is procuring these vehicles?
Mr. Chairman.
At the Action Committee again, I believe Dr. Rabinovich said it was the school department, and then at the Finance Committee, the chairman of the school committee said it was the town administrator. So if I could get an answer to that, I'd appreciate it. either one of you. I guess you both start on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to get an answer to that question, but let me just fill you in. In my tenure, in 2.5 years, I have not been asked to be a procurement officer in this process, and that pertains to the funding source. And I'm not sure if the attorney wants to jump in here, but the idea is that I believe there are two...
Oh, no, I mean, I don't think we need
Well-
a lawyer to answer the question. I'm
Well,
asking.
I'm just...
We bought a
I'm-
bus last year, and who bought the bus? Was it you or the school department?
School
It wasn't
depart-
me.
It was the school department with their transportation revolving fund.
Okay. So at the finance committee, though, last week, they said that it was the town administrator that's procuring these buses. Unless I heard that wrong. I mean,
I didn't see the
were you at
finance
the
committee meeting,
finance committee meeting last week, Mr. Jones?
and I didn't see it. I'm sorry, Mr. Holmes.
I'd like to have an answer. It's very muddy when you have two different answers to the same question, depending on what review board you're in front of. That's okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think if we can get the Reader's Digest version from the attorney, as he has been
Mr.
known.
Bowen has the answer. I'm fine with it.
Well, I think I gave the answer, but,
I know. it's
you
not
can...
me.
Excuse me, we have a telephone that's been going off. If somebody can shut it off, we appreciate it. Thank you. Can someone inform them the same? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Administrator, I can tell you how it's supposed to work. Town meeting, after the Uniform Procurement Act was adopted in, I want to say, in the late 80s, town meeting was charged with designating who would be the chief procurement officer for the town. And town meeting designated the position of town administrator as chief procurement officer. The chief procurement officer may, in writing, delegate procurement authority to other individuals in the community. That's not unusual. And the Inspector General keeps a log, a register of delegations, because it has to be in writing. Now, the way it should work is the town administrator does the procurement as the chief procurement officer, unless the town administrator has delegated that authority to, for example, the superintendent. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
If I can just address part of that. I had
I'd appreciate it.
I had asked that question, and I was told that at one time that there was a purchasing agent. Did I mishear that, Mr. Andrews? When we were discussing that, and we were told at one time, I believe there was a purchasing agent, but I don't even know what that means. But I asked the question at the first Transportation Action Committee meeting because I happened to be at the capital planning meeting that Dr. Rabinovich had come to capital planning, said that he was declaring it an emergency and was purchasing this $92,000 bus. At the first Transportation Action Committee meeting, I asked the nature of the emergency, and in fact, it was that they would they decided to do the transportation themselves and were not renewing their contract with Whaling City.
But in either case, procurement was done by the school department.
Correct.
That's all. I just wanted to know what the answer to the, I heard two different answers within a week span, and then I just wanted to know what the answer was. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
You want to move on, Mr. Clerk?
Town business. Yes. Vote to call special town meeting, opening of warrant, and inserting article relative to joint labor management commission and Wareham Police Union, MCOP Local 423.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, we've had, pardon me. The purpose of this special town meeting would be multifold, and I see the reference in the agenda references only one of the issues. First, as you may or may not recall, there was an award by the JLMC regarding police union negotiations, at which time the JLMC substantially supported the town's position in negotiating it, well, almost completely upheld it. It's my understanding from speaking with the town administrator that the money necessary to support the award is already built into the budget. Right now, the budget that is in place at present fiscal year 2012. And so what we, I think, would need, and what I'd recommend, is that we get a vote of town meeting just accepting the award and, in essence, ratifying it. And then at that point, the money that was the subject of the award could then be dispersed. The other matters that I think would require some special town meeting action is that I believe that we are going to be bringing a couple of contracts to the board for your review. Probably not before the annual town meeting commences, but I would say before the date that's being requested for this special town meeting. Some of this is more executive session material, but there has been some progress made, and due to the fact that some of these folks have been without any salary adjustment for
Well, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bowen, maybe. I think let's just stick to the issue.
Okay. I'll leave it there.
Right.
You know where I'm going.
Could I just ask one quick question?
Yes, Mr. Baker.
I noticed that the dates here for the special town meeting in May
Yes,
is that the selectmen would officially close the warrant on April 17th. And just for point of information, without going into any detail, do you anticipate the completion of that particular business that you referred to by April 17th?
I would say by April 17th, we'll have a pretty good idea of whether it's realistic.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I get
Yes, go ahead.
And there's no way, through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Bowen, there's no way that you can incorporate this into the town meeting we have coming up. It starts April 23rd, is it?
Yes.
In May, for the last 10 days, there's no way that we can get this into that warrant so that we don't have to have a special town meeting, because that costs money.
I know. With your permission, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. I've reviewed this question very closely with the town administrator and with the moderator in terms of available dates and costs. Now, I don't want to offer any gloomy predictions about the duration of the annual town meeting, but I think it's entirely possible that the annual town meeting will still be in session by May 23rd. Well, you got a chock-a-block warrant. You got a gangbuster warrant there.
We really do, and that's why.
Yeah. And so in terms of the cost, we sat down, went through the auditorium availability to determine dates that the auditorium was going to be available, and we tried to pick dates that were the earliest possible. And this was going to be one of the earliest possible dates when the auditorium would be available. So there, to answer Mr. Holmes' concern about money, that's something that we were very sensitive to, and there may not be any additional expense, because what you would do is you would just convene the special town meeting before you began the annual for that particular day. In terms of being able to slip this in within the scope of some of the existing articles, it's possible. I did go back and forth with counsel for one of the unions as to whether we could do that, and I was certainly willing to make the argument that we could, but counsel for one of the unions felt more comfortable with handling it in this fashion. So.
Any other questions?
Well, that being said, if it's possible to do this under the existing framework that we have for our town meeting, right? I don't want. I guess I'm not clear as to why they would object. What business is it of theirs? This is town business to get this warrant article in front of our town meeting members. Number one. And number two, if they object to that, which causes us to have a special meeting, are they willing to pay for that? Right?
I think I know the answer.
I mean, if you can make this happen, Mr. Bowen, under the existing framework that we already have, then we should do that. That would be my recommendation.
Mr. Chair,
Mrs. Begley?
wouldn't this still, even if we are still in town meeting, our spring town meeting, it would still be a special town meeting for this particular article. Is that correct?
It could well turn out that way, yes.
That's not a yes or no. I was trying to find out. My question was pretty clear.
I understand your
Is it possible we have 52 or 3, depending on what book you're reading, right? Is it possible to make this number 54?
Oh.
That's my question.
Oh, now I understand.
That's my question.
Yeah,
Okay.
gotcha. No, I think the answer to that one is no.
Okay. That's what I was trying to answer.
Yeah, now I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, because of the time.
That's not possible.
That's not possible.
Any other questions? If not, can I hear a motion?
I'd make a motion that a special. I'd make a motion that in the name of the Commonwealth of Mass and in accordance with the provisions of Wareham Home Rule Charter Section 2-4, a special town meeting be called by the Board of Selectmen to be held at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, May 21st, 2012, at which time the business of town meeting shall be transacted. The deadline for submission of articles to the inserted in the warrant is 5 p.m. Monday, April 9th, 2012. Petition articles will be accepted until 5 p.m. on April 9th. The warrant for this meeting will close on Tuesday, April 17th. Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry I wasn't clear.
You have to read this.
Well, I'm slow on the uptake sometimes.
Put that in the record. Yeah, you have to read that into the record. Rich,
Yes.
Do you have to read that?
get Mr. Sullivan
Oh, I
ready.
need to read the dates. The process for calling a special town meeting, May 21st, 2012, at 7:30 p.m. within annual town meeting. On Tuesday, April 3rd, the Board of Selectmen have established dates for the completion of the warrant for special town meeting. Thursday, April the 5th, publication in a local newspaper of notice of intent to call a special town meeting, Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4, 45 days or more before the date of town meeting. Monday, April 9th, last day to submit articles to be inserted in the warrant. Tuesday, April 17th, the Board of Selectmen should officially close the warrant. Friday, April 20th, last day to post in each precinct and deliver a copy of the warrant to the town moderator and to the chairman of each committee established by Section 2-5 of the Wareham Home Rule Charter, Section 2-4D, within 3 days of closing the warrant. Thursday, May the 3rd, last day to publish the entire warrant in a local newspaper. And Monday, May 21st, a commencement of annual town meeting. Want that back?
Yeah, you have it.
I want to make sure you're not taking my copy. All right. That take care of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next up. We have the vote on town meeting warrant articles. Let's see, Mr. Bowen are you just going to hang?
I'm going to hang.
All right.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
I didn't know if you were stepping up for something else. Yeah. She gave me a copy of that one. We'll go right down the list?
Yes.
Uh,
Do you have a copy?
I do. Just trying to find the table. It's Article number 1. We've already done those.
Mr. Chairman, I believe we're on
Yeah,
Article 6.
Five, the first five.
We're on
done.
6.
Start at 6. On the budget. We now have most of looks like all of the FinCom votes on here. And as in practice, I will make a motion that the Board of Selectmen vote favorable action on all of them, so it's consistent. And then we can take the vote, take it from there.
Mr. Chairman, if I could suggest that Mr. Sullivan
Yes, go ahead.
provide an update summary, executive summary for the board. Mr. Sullivan?
So I'd make a motion that the Board of Selectmen move favorable action on Article 6, the budget.
Motion made by Steve.
Prior to seconding that motion, Mr. Holmes, I want to hear from Mr.
Oh,
Sullivan.
that's why I'm making the
Okay,
motion.
for
so that-
discussion?
yes.
Second for discussion.
Thank you. Okay, Mr.
Okay, discussion.
Good evening. And you have the most up-to-date copy of the budget that's as of today. It is significantly different than the March 17th, I believe, meeting when we sat in here with several other committees. The column that I'm going to ask you to look at would be the fourth column, the FY13 proposed budget. The revenues have not changed. However, in speaking with some of the department heads and with the treasurer collector, we came up with a plan that would introduce approximately $268,000 available into our budget. And I'm going to ask you to look at page 5 of 6. Approximately halfway down, you'll see the fixed cost section. Does everybody see that? For the debt principal and the debt interest long-term, we were set to bond out for the encumbered project of the town hall virtualization, the backhoe, the sweeper. And one of the ideas that the treasurer collector had brought forth was that if we postponed that, in other words, borrowed short-term on that for 3 months, that would be, you would actually be bonding on approximately in July sometime, which means you would not have a principal payment on that for the fiscal year 13. And that would free up approximately $268,000. What that $268,000 does is allow us to not have to do the 3.75% salary cuts to the town hall employees. So I asked, what's the cost of that? There's obviously more interest. You're doing over a different period of time. The interest cost is $2,107. So you're approximately netting $266,000. I said, so is this changing anything? All we really did was change it so that the principal payment would be for 2014 instead of 2013. And how that works in our benefit as well, and I'll bring the treasurer collector in to speak to that, is that in our funding schedules, you'll see that our debt payments are starting to go down significantly in the years out. So this was a way to free up money that we need now without, the term is out there of kicking the can down the road. And in a way, yes, we are, but for $2,100. And this was items that were voted on in 2010, but you wouldn't bond until now because they're not completed until now. So that's why we have this availability.
Mrs. Baker?
I have a question. Since some of the debt expenses to the town, you're saying are going down, So do you anticipate in 2014 that the net that we would owe, because the other debt is going down, would be less than $270,000?
No, I don't anticipate that. That's
So
a
we're
payment-
just going to have an additional $270,000 that we'll have to come up with instead of this year, next, in 2014.
It would have been, we have to make a $270,000 payment, whether we bonded and paid for the first year in 2013, or your first year was 2014. We've basically just put off starting the payment process for 1 year. So it's not, there wouldn't be any additional payments. So basically, by temporarily, instead of bonding, let's say today, by having it on July, so that 3-month span, which is why there's approximately $2,000 of interest, making your first payment then, or bonding at that time, allows us to not have our first payment until 2014. So basically, it's as if you took a loan out, and you still have to make 5 payments on that loan, but you're not going to make that till, you're not going to do it this month, you'll do it next month. You
I
aren't,
understand.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add to that,
Yes, Mr.
we intend to use the State House notes, which is the treasurer's preferred long-term financial arrangement, but because interest rates are so low, and on the recommendation of the treasurer collector, that we keep that rate in place until we can make the arrangements for the longer-term Treasury, U.S. Treasury, Massachusetts Treasury State House notes, which is the most preferred way to go with regards to long-term financing for the programs that we have. And it also allows us to close down the last parts of those projects because it's important that you have them closed down before you put the final financing in place. So, and once again, this is on the recommendation of Treasurer Collector Foster.
Any other questions? Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Sullivan. What were those 2 projects again?
it was, I believe it was voted in fall of 2010, the meeting, would have been the town hall virtualization, the backhoe, street sweeper, and I believe, was there one other item in there?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, the police department communication system, $200,000.
I guess my question is, it's a little confusing. You said to look at the 471,000. Is that the number you're looking at? On page 5 or 6?
Yes.
Well, just the town hall project was 471.
These would be the payment. This is actually all the town debt service that we have here, so this would be,
I was going to say, because that looks like the town hall project. So let me just get this straight, because this makes no sense in the real world to anybody. So we bought a computer, basically, in 2000, and we authorized it in 10. They bought them in 11, right?
I believe that approximately started the
And they're going to
project.
start using, the chief's already using his. Town employees are going to start using theirs hopefully in the next few weeks or a month, right?
Correct.
And then you're not going to pay for these until 2014. You're not going to stop paying for it until 2014.
You wouldn't permanently finance it until 2014. There was the bond. I believe
Just in time to get ready to buy new ones. Right?
Well, with the virtualization,
Mr. Chairman,
I
Because it
think,
includes the thin clients, all right? So you
Yeah.
get 3 years out, you're going to be looking for new thin clients, right? And then we'll be going back asking for more money, and we'll have just written the first check to cover the original thin clients, right? That's how it works in government.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Andrews?
People
Please.
at home don't understand. I always get confused by that, and I don't think people at home make much sense out of that either.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, these are depreciable assets that are over 5 years of life, and many of them, including the street sweeper and the backhoe. I think the backhoe is older than I am, that we have had on the rolls. It would be financing for them over a 5-year period, which is a standard period by which municipalities go about their business for capital purchasing and financing. So I hope we can get more than the 5 years appreciable life of all the assets, and I think that would be the case certainly for many of the fixed assets, including the communication system at the police department, which I think was 1970s, late 70s or 80s vintage.
Just
a
I'm not saying that it's not worthwhile. I mean, all those things are worthwhile.
Sure.
We voted for them a while back. I'm just saying that, he's talking about 2014 and computers, even those servers we bought last summer are already outdated.
I'm not sure I agree with that statement, but
Well,
I think it's a play on technology.
Yeah,
It's
in the
outdated
technology
already.
world, Mr. Andrews, by the time the guy delivered them on the truck, they were outdated. So,
Okay.
and then just to think that we're paying for them 3 years later, it just there's a disconnect there.
Mr. Sullivan, you
Yes,
want to
there is.
continue or are you finished?
That would be, so to bring you to to bring it all back in, that's, the thought behind that process was that we will continue to not fund the positions that are vacant, that aren't emergency, if you'll say, because we do have an assistant assessor position open. We plan on filling that. So approximately at the end of the day, we will still have cut the town side by $268,477 versus what was budgeted for fiscal year 12.
Mr. Bigley?
A lot of work has been done on this budget, obviously, because the last one that I saw, I think that there was a $2.4 million gap between the schools and the town, and we did not have a balanced budget. What I'm seeing here, and I'm assuming that the number 0 that I looked at means that this is a balanced budget. Can you tell me what cuts have been made? Does this budget reflect some of the issues that arose during that joint meeting? For example, town hall being closed 1 day a week, et cetera, et cetera. You certainly, because of the $270,000, don't have to go back and renegotiate the 3.79% reduction in salaries. But what cuts does this budget reflect? Because I think people need to know.
This budget reflects, we will have loss of services. One of them is the lifeguard program, as we were speaking before. We're not going to fund that this year. There will be approximately, all told, I believe it is 6 positions that we will not be funding that are vacant.
Just let me interrupt 1 second. Mr. Sullivan, are those positions, because what I did see were 6 seasonal police officers and 1 FTE from the police department? Are these all in the police department, or did...
No, there's also in the selectman's office, there's a selectman's assistant position that's vacant right now, and we'll not fund that. There is also, in the planning department, there was a part-time position that will not be funded through that. There is also...
That's currently unfilled.
That is currently unfilled.
Okay.
And that had been budgeted for in
I don't want anybody to get
FY12.
scared.
The police department currently has 3 positions that are vacant, that we will not be funding those.
Is that police officers, dispatchers, or a combination?
There is 2 police officers and 1 of the administration staff, so it would be a lieutenant. We will not, after much discussion with, I believe it's a finance committee and this board as well, we had tried to put in a personnel director position. The thought behind that would be, overall, that'd be a savings to make sure everything is done in line. We will not be able to fund that position.
And in addition to that, will town hall be open 4 days a week? Or will it be open 5 days a week?
That would have to be bargained. My plan, this plan has either a half-day Friday or a full day off for town hall. And how that works is if if we have to go to a half-day, then I know there's approximately, I would budget in $20,000 that we're going to have to make up somewhere for costs. So this budget itself, to be direct, is with Town Hall being closed on Friday. If we go to a half-day, we'd have to make up approximately $20,000. If we go to a 5-day week, we would have to make up approximately $40,000. Right now, I am planning with the Town Hall being closed on Friday, but what I plan and what I put on this document doesn't mean that's what the bargaining units will agree to.
Do we currently have our, like, department heads are salaried, am I right? Do we have many employees in Town Hall that are paid hourly that are 40 hours? I mean, just percentage-wise.
I can't give you an honest answer off the top of my head on there. I know I'm 40 hours. That's I would have to go through the book and just line up and give you what percentage that would be.
Because, I mean, I know that a number of employees are part-time, so it may affect them if they work Fridays, but certainly not if they change their day off. I just think a huge amount of work was done to close that gap, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but you just mentioned the position in the selectman's office. That position hasn't had anyone in it since I think the last incumbent was Mr. St. Jeanette. So, will you have extra money moving over? I mean, if you're saying it's to answer Mrs. Begley's question, to get to zero, you said that position wasn't going to be filled. It's not filled now.
Wouldn't fill it, wouldn't fund it.
Right. But, so where's the money for that now? Is it available? Because that was like 70, I think it was in the 70s.
What was based for him when he was, I believe it was at an interim position, was when he was up close to I shouldn't say he, but that position was approximately 70 to 80,000. Obviously, the next person that came in was going to have much lower duties, and I believe we had brought it to approximately 48 to 50,000.
So in this year's budget, that money's still sitting there. It hasn't been expended.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Any other questions?
One other question.
Mr. Bigley?
I was just glancing at some of the salaries, and I see that some are significantly increased. Is that a result of the contract negotiations? I'm assuming so.
Correct. I'm sure there's one that stands out from the town hall side specifically, and yes, that is...
Because those contracts had not been, they've been languishing for some time, or,
For
not languishing, but discussed.
Correct, and for
some time.
several years, and when you finally fund them, it's a big bump over what would have been funded from the previous year, because you're catching up.
What is the significant decrease in the Council on Aging wages?
There is, before they had funded positions, they had put in funding for positions that are actually paid by grants. And we went through there, we said there's no reason to appropriate for those because they're paid from a grant. So why would you encumber those funds?
I understand. Thank you.
Just quick, Mr. Chairman. Is this the budget that town meeting members are going to vote on? This document?
It will depend on what the school committee votes. If the school committee does not vote the number that we have in here, by charter, we're obligated to go forth with their number, and I would assume at that point we'd have an unbalanced budget.
So this is, you can't say with any certainty that this is the document?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Mr. Andrews?
under the charter, this is the town administrator's budget going forward. Let's just be clear about that. And we've been working very hard with the school department to make certain that they...
I understand
That's
that,
right.
but my
I just-
question is
yeah.
pretty specific.
Yes.
Is this the document
That's correct.
that town meeting members are going to see on April, with some minor adjustments, on April 23rd
Yes.
to vote on?
Yes.
Not the school department's budget?
It's going to be the town administrator's budget, which is the one you have in front of you, Mr. Holmes.
Well, then, Mr. Chairman, I do have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Through you to Mr. Bowen. Rich,
Yes, sir.
I listened to another tape the other night, and it was informational that it was the school committee's version of the budget that went to town meeting. Would you clarify that for us and for anybody that's listening?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The school committee has to be given a meaningful opportunity to present its version of the budget. And by its version of the budget, what I mean is not all of the municipal line items, but their specific line items under Chapter 71, Section 34, and then with a little bit of gloss from Ed Reform, the school basically presents a single line item budget, and then it gets allocated in some funky kind of ways to help the state calculate Chapter 78. So the school committee, what I'm going to say is the school committee has to be allowed a meaningful way to present its number. Now, there's argument about whether it must be, and I'll be very honest with you, Stephen, and say I'm not going to settle the argument tonight, but I'll kind of tell you where I'm going with it. There is an argument to be made that this document must include their number. There's another argument that it includes the number that the town administrator deems appropriate, and by motion at town meeting, the school committee, by law, must be given the opportunity to stand up and say, you know, we move, you know, whatever the number is going to be, presumably higher. To be perfectly candid with you, in my own mind, I have not yet resolved whether their number must be in this document. At a minimum, they are allowed the right to stand up and offer their number to the voters. You know, whether it's through this document or through a motion. You know, honestly, I'm not sure that legally it makes any difference because their number is going to get in front of the public.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anything else on number 6? Ready to call for vote? All in favorable action?
Aye.
Taking the vote?
I heard you.
All in favor?
Just going to say no.
I'm going to say no.
2, 1, 0.
All right, number 7 is the Upper Cape Tech School assessment. I move favorable action.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Begley. Questions? None? Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
I'm sorry to
8.
interrupt, Mr. Chair, if I may. We spoke with Superintendent Kevin Farr, and the only availability, he was originally, we had reached out to him for today's date. Somebody pointed out to me that it's elections night and probably not the smartest move to have them in. They are available for April 17th, and if the board will allow that, I would ask that they come in to do their presentation on their budget.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's before town meeting.
Right.
Right, yeah. That's what we had asked. Okay, number 8, I move favorable action on the Article number 8 for the stabilization fund.
Motion made.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Quick, yeah, discussion.
So this money's available for the stabilization fund? $150,000 is available to go in the stabilization fund, according to this budget?
In this budget, I have $150,000 appropriated to go into the stabilization fund.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick, we've been building this up over the past 2.5 years. And I believe a grand total of over $400,000 is now in the rainy day fund, and it's staying with the plan to keep putting money in as a matter of policy.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Article number 9, see if the town, no, that's not it either. Oh, it is, yes, I'm sorry. This is on the vote, raise and appropriate transfer $100,000 to the collective bargaining reserve. I move favorable action on Article 9.
Second.
Motion made and second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 300.
Article 10 is, this is on the sewer plant. See if the town will vote to appropriate $6,007,304 from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund. Salary and wages, $751,384. Expenditures, including debt, $5,255,920. Accordance with Chapter 44, Section 53F, the Mass General Law, to defray the operating capital expenses of the Water Pollution Enterprise Fund for fiscal year beginning July 1, 12, ending June 30th, 2013. I move favorable action.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion second. Question?
What
Hearing,
do we happen to know what the balance will be in this account after this expenditure? Or,
Doesn't say in the article.
I can wait. I can wait. Go ahead.
If you could, I don't understand the question, I guess.
This is to appropriate from the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund. My question is, after this $6,007,304, what would the balance be in the enterprise?
Oh, this would be for their expenditures
Right.
for next year, for having the
next year.
system operating. And actually, in accordance with the way the DOR wants us to position, I guess, to vote items at town meeting for setting the tax rates and such for these purposes, the revenue will be $6,520,304. Then you will have a revenue offset of
Right.
$513,000. And that's the way we need to phrase it. It used to be that we would put it as the revenue, and then the expenditures would just
Correct.
cancel each other out.
Correct.
So that's why this is now less, $513,000, than the
Okay.
actually anticipated revenue.
Okay. So this is salary, wages, and capital. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
we're going to take a vote on that?
Mhm.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Article 11 is the EMF offset receipts. See if town will appropriate $683,111.00 to the EMS services salary and wages account, and $165,219 to the emergency medical services general expense account. Still further, to authorized $148,330 in estimated receipts in the medical emergency services to be used to offset appropriations under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E. I move favorable action.
Second.
Motion made and second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Article 12, to see if the town will vote to transfer $50,000 from receipts reserved for appropriation from the harbor master permit fees, the general fund operating budget to defray the cost of the harbor master's seasonal personnel. Move favorable action.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Article 13. This is to see if the town will vote to approve in all of the following GLC 4453.5 revolving funds, or to do so in any manner thereof.
And Mr. Holmes, if I may interrupt, Mr. Holmes
For the
had,
Council on Aging, Library, Council on Aging Social Programs Daycare, Council on Aging's Activities, Social Recreation, and Recycling. I would move favorable action.
Second.
Motion made second. Question? Mr. Sullivan?
when we went over all the articles the last time, Mr. Holmes had asked me if the library should be at 20,000 or a different amount. It should be at 30,000, and that's what we do have in our budget, so we changed that on town meeting floor.
Okay. Yeah, because I do recall when they came in, and she mentioned that.
Denise, yes.
Right, okay. The old memory works once in a while.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
If we're gonna,
Did you say yes?
well, if we're gonna change it on town meeting floor, I guess I'm gonna say no to the 20,000 for the library.
Well, it's for all the revolving funds, it's not just the library. You want to say no?
They'll say no.
210?
210.
Okay. Next, Article 14 is to see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate from available funds, including funds previously appropriated for other uses or retained earnings, or to raise a sum or sums of money to appropriate to accounts for the purposes here specified, or to take any action related. And these are the ones that went from the town accountant to the finance committee reserve, long-term debt to professional services that covered the accounting stuff, the accountant stuff, long-term debt to treasurer, and there's a list of them A through J. I'd move favorable action on Article 14.
Second.
Motion made second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I move favorable action on Article...
3-0-0.
Oh, sorry, Mr.
No,
Chair.
let's make sure they get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move favorable action on Article 15 to see if the town will vote pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half of the Mass General Law to authorize the use of revolving fund for the purpose of shellfish propagation programs and enhancement of shellfish resources within the town, which funds shall be credited with receipts from all commercial shellfish permits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I move favorable action on Article 15.
Motion made.
Second.
Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
I move favorable action on Article 16. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer $30,000 from the parking meter fund or the parking pier fund to the municipal maintenance department sign materials account, or to act in any manner relative thereto.
Second.
Motion made second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
I'd move favorable action on Article 17 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer $30,000 from the Waterways Improvement and Maintenance Fund to the Harbor and Beaches Maintenance account.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-0-0.
I move favorable action on Article 18, which is to see if the town will vote to appropriate and authorize the treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to borrow a sum of money contingent upon approval of a Prop 2.5 debt exclusion for the purpose of funding the purchase of new or used vehicles for the school transportation department, or to take any action thereto.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
0-3-0.
I move favorable action on Article 19, a debt exclusion for the high school roof, to see if the town will appropriate and authorize the treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to borrow some money contingent upon Prop 2.5 debt exclusion for the purpose of repairing the high school gymnasium roof,
I need to go to.
including ancillary costs and any action relative thereto.
Motion made,
Second.
motion second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
1-2.
1-2.
1-2.
I move favorable action on Article 20, which is, this is the, see if the town will vote to appropriate and authorize the treasurer for a 2.5 debt exclusion for the purpose of funding instructional materials, et cetera, et cetera.
Second.
Motion made, second. Questions? All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
0-3-0.
I move favorable action on Article 21. To see if the town will vote to accept General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 71F, to authorize the school committee to use a revolving fund to be credited with all monies received by the school committee as tuition payments for non-resident students. The receipts held in such account may be expended by the school committee without further appropriation for expenses incurred in providing education for students or to take any action thereto.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question?
I do.
Mr.
Chapter
Bagley?
44, revolving accounts come before town meeting on an annual basis. Is that correct, Mr. Bowen?
Yes, ma'am.
And if it goes into Chapter 71, they no longer have that requirement?
Well, I'd have to have a copy of the section of Chapter 71 in front
I
of me.
looked it up.
My recollection is that one of them is an acceptance rather than an annual authorization, and then once you accept it, it keeps going. I know that's one of the articles. I don't recollect how the other one works.
I mean, if I might, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I don't know
Mr.
if this
Holmes.
helps or not, but since there is a question, I'll read the explanation briefly. The intent of this article is to replace a current revolving account that was set up under Chapter 44 for special education tuitions paid by other districts to attend programs offered by the Wareham Public Schools. The current Chapter 44, Section 53E, limits the amount of expenditures for all revolving accounts under Chapter 44, 53, 1-2 to 1% of the prior year's fiscal year's levy tax. This revolving account under Chapter 71, Section 71F, will allow us to spend what is received to fund and operate the special education program.
Just trying to look up the law.
Oh,
Sorry.
all right. While you're doing that, we can. You already got it? Well, that's quick.
No, I'm not that
Ah.
quick.
Um,
No, I was just
While
going
while you're doing that, we could just hold on that one. Would you take your second back while Mr. Bowen's doing that? We can keep going.
Sure.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw my
Can
second.
we just put it on hold and come back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll come back to that when he's ready.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, it didn't come prepared tonight to go through
That's
the
okay.
warrant, but
Well-
I thought since I was going to be here, I might as well
Yeah, thank
hang in.
Next, I move favorable action on Article 22. To see, oh, you know what? I'm going to skip over that one too, because he's
The
going to
same-
look,
it's
he's
the
looking
same.
that up at the same time.
So,
They're all the same.
Steve, 71F
Yeah, hang on a
and
second.
7145.
Yeah, the current chapter is 44,
Right.
Section 53E. And they want to change this to,
Chapter 71, 71F.
are you there?
Almost.
Almost.
Okay.
Well, we'll take a time out while
Oh, we don't have a quorum.
Yeah.
the chairman.
The technology discussion we already had.
Yeah, see, and if he was in government, he wouldn't be paying for that machine for 5 years.
You want to know what I paid for it for 1 year.
That's fun. You should have brought your son's computer. It would have been a lot faster.
You know, if I brought my son,
That's right.
It'd be up right now.
This would be over. Mrs. Begley would have her question.
well, you know, if I had known we were going to,
Oh,
I was
come
going to be
on
doing this,
now.
I'd have had the book.
Well, good lawyers are always prepared, like a Boy Scout.
Yeah, I brought the computer. All right, here we go.
Good thing we have a flat fee for this.
Oh, you're killing me. You want me to wait for Walter? I can read it out loud.
Well, no, we have to, yeah, I'm sure he'd be interested in hearing
Okay.
this. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, here's what the statute says, Chapter 71, Section 71F. In any city or town which accepts this section, okay, so I got that right, all monies received by the school committee as tuition payments for non-resident students and as state reimbursements for students who are in foster care children, pardon me, shall be deposited with the treasurer of the town or of the city and held as separate accounts. The receipts held in such separate account may be expended by said school committee without further appropriation for expenses incurred in providing education for non-resident students or for such students who are foster care children, notwithstanding the provisions of Section 53 of Chapter 44. A city or town may appropriate funds for expenses incurred in providing education for such non-resident students or for such students who are foster care children, which funds shall be expended by the school committee in addition to funds provided from other sources. So what I get out of this is it's a one-time acceptance of Chapter 71, Section 71F. If town meeting accepts this, it creates this permanent account which will not require any annual reauthorization, so this is a one-time vote, and then the tuitions that are received for foster care children and tuition payments for non-resident students will be automatically deposited into this account created by virtue of the acceptance, and that from that point forward, that money may be spent without further appropriation for expenses incurred in providing education for such non-resident students or for the foster care children. So it's,
Well, this says special education. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I was just trying to clarify. This explanation says special education programs.
it's more than that. It's
So
for-
the money that goes in under Chapter 71 can only be, I mean, they can't use that for
School buses.
A basketball.
Well, I know.
Get off the buses.
I'll leave the buses.
They can't use that money for a basketball banquet or a book. I mean, it has to be for these programs that the money was received, correct?
Well, it could be, I won't rule out a book, but,
Yeah, book was a bad
But-
choice.
yeah, but,
Jackets for the sectional champions or anything like that.
yeah, I agree. It says, receipts held in such separate account may be expended by said school committee without further appropriation for expenses incurred, and this is the key language, for expenses incurred in providing education for such non-resident students or for such students who are foster care children. So, you know, that's broad, but
And as a follow-up to that, it says, this is the part that I was wondering about, is the other piece. We're on the Chapter 44, they can only spend half to 1% of the prior year's fiscal tax levy. And Chapter 71 removes that limit.
with your permission, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. The
Through you, Mr. Chair.
the problem that you were running up against in prior years is that if the school committee treated these types of activities as revolving funds, which, you know, they could, if you combined the money that came in through those accounts with the money that you had in municipal side revolving funds, you were going to be way over that 1%. And by the school taking these particular activities out of the revolving fund statute with its limitation and moving them over into, you know, what some might say are the proper categories, under these sections, you're going to bring yourself under that 1% and probably end up getting yourself straight with the auditors and DOR. And then what was the other one there?
That works.
47? Let's just take out 47.
We're on 21.
So that was on 21.
Okay, so let me make the motion again now that we've talked about it. I think I have to re-motion, right? So I'd move favorable action, Article 21, to see if the town would approve the change for this revolving fund for the income and tuition from Chapter 44 to Chapter 71.
Motion made, motion second.
Second.
Any other questions? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Oh.
2-1.
Okay, I move favorable action, Article 22. Article 22 says to see if the town will vote to accept General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 47, to authorize the use of revolving fund to be credited with funds received by the school committee in connection with the conduct activities provided under Chapter 71, Section 47, or any other activity not expressly provided for in that chapter, but sponsored by the school committee, in which participation is contingent upon the payment of a fee by a participant, such fees to be deposited with the treasurer and held in a separate account expended by the school committee without a further appropriation. And this explanation talks about the intent of this article is to replace, instead of Chapter 44 for kindergarten and preschool tuitions.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, so I need a second.
Oh, second, sorry.
Motion made, second.
Yeah, Mr.
Second,
Chairman.
second.
Question, go ahead.
Yeah, my question, I guess, through you to Mr. Bowen. These seem very specific.
They are.
I
Now-
think that they mistake, that the wrong explanation is under Article 22. I think they put, because the next article is 23 regarding preschool and kindergarten. Does anybody else see what I'm saying?
I do
Because
see
that's
that.
athletics, Article 22, Section 47. Chapter 71, Section 47 is to do with athletics and student activities, right?
Yes, athletic
So-
programs, school organizations, and student activity accounts.
So that explanation belongs under Article 23, I believe, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, so these are not, my question is on the expenditure of the money. The money's in the account, and they want to buy something. On the previous one, we talked about special education. So, maybe I'm wrong, but I understood it to mean that the tuitions would come in for the special needs students, out-of-town students, tuition payments, and then they'd be able to spend that money on those programs.
Yes,
Now you're talking about a basketball ticket, I'm guessing. You can go pay $5 to go watch the game.
Athletics.
Money comes into the special account, this revolver, and then they spend it on what? Obviously not preschool and kindergarten programs.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Mr. Begum?
I guess in previous town meetings, I only recall ever preschool and kindergarten revolving accounts coming before town meeting. I really don't recall all these additional revolving accounts from the school department coming before town meeting. I just don't.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think Mr. Bowen still didn't answer my question on expending the money.
well, with your permission, Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me, I have
I
to-
will read, Section 47 aloud. It says, "The committee, meaning school committee, may supervise and control all athletic and other organizations composed of public school pupils and bearing the school name or organized in connection therewith. It may directly or through an authorized representative determine under what conditions the same may compete with similar organizations in other schools. Expenditures by the committee for the organization and conduct of physical education, athletics, sports, games, and play, for providing proper apparatus, equipment, supplies, athletic wearing apparel, including appropriate souvenir garments and trophies, and facilities for the same in buildings, yards, and playgrounds under the control of the committee, or upon any other land which it may have the right or privilege to use for this purpose, and for the employment of experienced athletic directors to supervise said physical education, athletics, sports, games, and play, shall be deemed to be a school purpose.
Okay.
Expenditures by the committee, school committee, for making special awards to pupils who have performed meritoriously in the fields of art, debating, distributive education, music, science, social studies, or languages, shall also be deemed to be a school purpose. Cities and towns may appropriate for the employment of coaches to supervise in public schools physical education, athletics, sports, games, and play, and for the transportation and expenses of public school athletic teams, coaches, cheerleaders, bands, and any other groups composed of public school pupils which bear the school name and are under the control of the school committee within and without the Commonwealth, to places where athletic contests or physical education.
Mr. Chairman, if I might. Rich, let's get down to the Reader's Digest version for a
I'm
minute.
not sure there's a reader's
I don't
digest
recall.
on this one.
You know, I kind of agree with Mrs. Begley here. I don't recall sitting at a town meeting hearing any of this. I mean, maybe I missed that part, but so in a nutshell, what are they asking for? Just the ability to is that what this boils down to? Being able to spend more of a percentage and not go to town meeting with it?
Yeah, I think that's it. And I don't presume to speak for the school committee on this, but
Neither do I.
the bottom line here is you have all those activities that I read about.
Right.
And it's fairly common for school systems to set up student activity accounts where for any particular student activity, the debating, the basketball, and all those things that I was laboriously reading, they can charge a fee for those activities. It appears that what the school committee is asking you to do is to bless the creation of student activity agency accounts so that the fees that are received for participation in those activities go into those accounts, and then the money will be spent out of those accounts without further appropriation for the purposes for supporting the activities. I'm sorry that was a long way of putting it, but
Yeah, hey, okay, I think I'm a little more uncomfortable with it now than I was before. All right, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Want to take a vote?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
032.
I'm going to take the next few. I think they're all the same thing. I'm going to move favorable action on Article 23. Can we do that?
Right.
24 and 25?
Right up, first, let's hear from the board. Mr. Begley?
They're all the same.
Okay. 23, 24, 25?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion made in second. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
030.
Okay, next we move to Article number 26. I move favorable action, Article 26. This is in regards to to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate contingent upon the approval of Proposition 2.5 override a sum of money to avoid teacher layoffs.
Motion made. Motion made, second question. Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
030.
I move favorable action, Article 27, on the Minot Forest School Building committee project.
Mr. Chairman, through you, if I could, just real quick. I'm not sure. I'm
Hang
sorry.
on. Gotta have a second.
Made a motion, made
Okay.
a second. Questions? Go ahead,
Mi- Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Attorney Bowen. Can we add a member of the Board of Selectmen at this time, or does that have to happen on the town meeting floor? Because it was proposed that this austere group meet as a school building group, and the Board of Selectmen on March 20th, I believe, voted to have Selectwoman Begley serve on this group.
If I may, did the school committee, did they vote in the affirmative to that, or was that necessary? I just want to be sure. Did they have a discussion about it? I don't know.
What are you getting at? In other words, your appointment is automatic.
Okay,
Okay, so once we appointed, that was a member from the Board of Selectmen.
okay. But it's not
There is
included
no-
in this
there is
list.
no member on this list.
It's not included in this list,
we
and the
have to amend
article
it.
is the question that Mr. Holmes.
Question is an amendment.
So Article 27 as written is what we're voting on tonight.
So it would have to be amended on town meeting floor, Mr.
Yes, ma'am, you'd have to,
Right.
Mr.
with
Bowen.
your permission, Mr. Chairman, you'd have to make a motion to change the composition to
Right.
include a member.
I just wanted to, through you, Mr. Chairman, I just want to flush that out because that vote of the Board of Selectmen was made after this warrant
Yes.
article was put in.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
It needs to be redone.
Well amended.
Amended, right. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
1-2-0.
1,
Because
2?
it's not amended. 1-2.
Yeah, no, it needs to be amended.
Right.
28, I move favorable action, Article 28. This is for the minor forest feasibility study.
Second.
Motion made, second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
1-2-0.
I move Article 29, a favorable action, Article 29, to see if the town will raise and appropriate a transfer of cemetery sales of lots and graves, the sum of $15,000.
Motion made. Motion
Second for discussion.
Motion
Yeah.
second, discussion?
I have a question for Attorney Bowen. This is a trick question, because you're going to shock and amaze me if you could just answer this. Like, is this money encumbered in any way? Is this money, or maybe Mr. Andrews, is this money from the sums of money from cemetery sales of lots and graves? Is that encumbered for maintenance of the cemeteries, or, so is this transfer okay to do?
Explanation.
Transfer from sales of lots of graves, some of $15,000 to a special account.
And while you're at that, Mr. Sullivan, would you tell us which line this is on your budget here, this $15,000?
That would go into the municipal maintenance expenses directly, because that's for
So you're going from sales of lots to the perpetual care interest line? I'm on page 2 of 6, I'm sorry.
Available funds.
See it up top?
That would be coming out of the cemetery sale of lots and graves, and it goes, so you have that as the revenue, and where it's placed is going directly into municipal maintenance expenses for the cemetery, because they're the ones that would clean.
Oh, I understand.
I think
It's a special.
with your permission, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You know, I'd say it's a like enough purpose for it to be acceptable. You know, you're deriving funds from cemetery activities, if you can put it that way, and using it for maintenance.
So the $15,000 is what they approximate, that's the cost to maintain the cemeteries? Is that what you're saying?
For the services that they provide,
Yes.
maintaining the cemetery.
So
Yeah.
that was an approximation of kind of that part of the budget for municipal maintenance, is the cost is about $15,000.
Correct.
All right, so it's not just to, people know out there, it's not just to balance the budget and beef up municipal maintenance.
No.
This is what it costs municipal maintenance or costs the town.
And Mr. Chairman, hopefully for the shock and amaze moment, and hopefully quickly for Mr. Holmes, Chapter 114, Section 25 provides that a town in which cemetery commissioners are chosen may receive gifts, bequests, may sell lots, which shall be kept separate and which may be used for reimbursing the town for cost of the land, its care, improvement, and embellishment.
Which brings up another question.
Oh, I was afraid you'd say that.
I'm sorry. Because is it okay for us to do this without a vote of the cemetery commissioners?
The statute doesn't reference any approval of the cemetery commissioners.
Okay, just, in case that comes up on town meeting floor.
Sure.
Thank
Any
you.
other question?
Yes,
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Holmes.
Chairman.
Mr.
So, Mr. Sullivan, in the budget on page 26, I'm assuming that what you're talking about is line 2, the cemetery perpetual care interest, which went from 15,000 to 0.
Cemetery perpetual care interest is actually a different account and will not be, there's no money being taken out of there. You'll see that for revenue, so we're bringing this in as an available fund. So we're voting that out of that account in as an available fund, so showing it as a revenue.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
very, very quickly, just on the question of cemetery commissioners and their involvement, the statute says the proceeds of sales of lots or rights of burial in such cemeteries shall be paid into the town treasury and be appropriated to reimburse the town for the cost of the land, its care, improvement, and embellishment, or the enlargement of the cemetery. So there's no discretion there
Okay.
at all.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
Move favorable action, Article 30. See if the town will vote to authorize $25,000 in no cents from receipts reserved for appropriation community events drawn from 70% of the hotel motel tax and 40% of the parking meter fund, et cetera, et cetera.
Second.
Motion made, second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
I move favorable action, Article 31, which is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $99,224 to pay for a third year of 3-year lease for 8 cruisers and 1 SUV, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Second.
Motion made, second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
I move favorable action on Article 32, dog bylaw.
I'll second that. But we have some,
Second. Question?
yes, I do. There was an addition from the dog officer to this article, which I assume will be in the form of an amendment. And this is, shall I read it?
Yes.
Upon complaint of a barking, howling dog which has been creating a public nuisance for not less than 15 continuous minutes or after 10 p.m. and before 7 a.m., or in the discretion of the animal control officer or any police officer may issue a written warning, which may be followed by a citation issued to the owner or keeper of the offending dog for failure to remedy the barking, howling nuisance as set forth by the bylaws and the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, Section 173A. And it lists the offenses and fees. First offense is a warning, second offense is a $25 fine, third offense is a $30 fine, and a fourth offense is a $50 fine.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bowen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm going to suggest that there be a couple cleanups on this by motion at town meeting. First, if it's going to be a bylaw, it should probably say where it's going to fit into the bylaws rather than just be sort of a loose leaf addition. So I think we'll need a motion on that. And then secondly, I haven't seen this proposed amendment. And third, I think it ought to have, again, we can put it in the motion if that's the wish, something in there that explicitly says that this bylaw may be enforced by non-criminal disposition, because when I heard the presentation of the animal control officer, it sounded like that's what she wanted, but it doesn't say that in here, so I'd recommend it. Thank you.
But that's for town meeting.
That's for town meeting.
Okay, so, any other questions on the bylaw? So we're just voting on the bylaw, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Huh? Oh, that's right. That's the way
That's
you were
okay.
going to call the police when my dog barked.
Yeah, I thought I heard it.
The Maltese.
It's this big. I just need to go back to Article 31 for one quick second, because this, the vote of the FinCom, because we just, by the language of the article for the police cruisers, was the third year of a 3-year lease. And I saw that this says contingent upon changing the year from second year to third year. So that was the correct language in the article?
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Yes, Mr.
there's a Scribner's error here, so that's it is the third year. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just to be sure. Thank you.
Okay, I move favorable action, Article 33, to see if the town will transfer and appropriate $49,842 to pay for a second year of a 3-year lease of 3 police cruisers and an unmarked Ford Taurus and 2 marked Dodge Chargers, et cetera, et cetera.
Second.
Motion made in second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
If I may on
Move
that one.
favorable action.
I'm sorry to interrupt. On that one, I was just thinking about the way that was phrased. It is 3 vehicles altogether, and then that was just a description of what each vehicle was. So it's a total of 3 vehicles on that one.
Thank you. I move favorable action, Article 34, septic system repair loans, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $200,000 for the purpose of financing the repair, replacement, and or upgrade of septic systems pursuant to agreements with the Board of Health and residential property owners, including without limitation, all costs thereof is defined in Chapter 29C, Section 1 of the General Law, that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $200,000 and issue bond notes or bonds or notes, therefore, under Chapter 111, Section 127B, and/or Chapter 29C of the General Law, et cetera, et cetera.
Second for discussion.
Motion made in second. Discussion? Mr. Begler?
I have a question to Mr. Andrews. The CETA currently has a septic system repair loans for people who qualify for financial assistance, correct?
You are correct. through you,
And
Mr.
that's
Chairman.
funded by grant funds.
That's correct.
So this article,
Housekeeping to get the,
just to be sure,
that's correct.
just want to be sure that this is, and just to clarify for those that are out there watching, that this
Yes.
$200,000 is grant funds.
That's
This
correct.
isn't money that the town is having to come up with.
That's correct.
My mistake. I should have read the bottom of this. This is being inserted by the Board of Selectmen at the request of the CETA.
Right, because I don't want any
It's a housekeeping matter.
misunderstandings, right.
Yes.
I don't want any misunderstandings
You're
out there.
correct, Selectman
Yep.
Begley.
Hearing no other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 300.
I move favorable action, Article 35, that the town to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept a conveyance by deed from the Friends of the Wareham Library for the Spinney Library on Onset Avenue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Second,
Motion made in second. Question? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
210.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sorry to butt in on that, but I'd respectfully ask the board to reconsider its vote on
Well,
that.
then why'd you let us vote in the first place? Why would you do that?
We were too fast.
Why don't you just jump in there if you have a problem?
Okay, explanation?
On which one?
This is the spinning library.
35.
Okay.
Number 35.
The reason is that in 2007, the board entered into an agreement with the Friends of the Spinning Library, and I'm sorry I don't have the document with me, but there's a provision in it where the Board of Selectmen of that day bound the Board of Selectmen of this day to supporting the article.
We did.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard a
2-1.
a negative vote.
Yeah, you
Just
did.
Yeah,
One
but the
negative.
majority is in favor.
How can a future vote be legally bound?
Well, as long as it carried 2-1, and I'm sorry, I misheard the vote.
That's because there was a pause.
My apologies.
Article 36. I move favorable action. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to amend the Wareham zoning bylaws, Article 222 and 421, relative to the floodplain district, in order to be in compliance with Title 44, Chapter I, Part 67, Section 67.11 of the Code of Federal Regulation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's pages long.
Yes. Second, and just for
Motion
discussion,
made and second.
for brief,
Question?
very brief discussion. This is just to, this, again, kind of housekeeping, because FEMA has come up with new maps.
Mr. Chairman, you are correct. This is a housekeeping matter.
So we have, we need to do this so that people who have flood insurance,
That's correct.
okay.
And it's being taken up in every town in Plymouth
Yes,
County.
I understand.
Yes, thank you.
Moving
Any other
on.
questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 2-1-0.
Make a motion, move favorable action. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to expend interest earned from loan repayments made between the town of Wareham and Wareham resident property owners as authorized under Chapter 111, Section 127B1 and 2, or Chapter 29C of General Laws for use of administration of the septic loan program. And this is inserted by the Board of Selectmen at the request of Wareham Community, CETA.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-0-0.
Unless anybody has any, 1, 2, 3, 4, the next four are CPC transfers. Anybody have any issues there?
I do.
Okay, then we'll do it
Sorry.
one at a time. Move favorable action, Article 38, Community Preservation Fund transfers.
Second, sorry.
Motion made and second. Question? Number 38.
38.
Question? Oh, I thought
No,
you had a
that one,
question.
no.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
Move favorable action, Article 39. This is on the debt service for Bryant Farm and Tremont Nail.
Question?
Second.
Motion made and second.
Second.
Question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0-0.
Sorry, you may not have included the one I had questioned.
Article, I move favorable, we're almost done now. Article, I move favorable action, Article 40. This is on community preservation. I move that the town vote to rescind Article 36 as voted in the spring of 2011 town meeting.
Motion made,
Oh, okay, second.
motion second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
Move favorable action, Article 41. Let's see, this is on the Weemianic-Ahern River corridor. The goal is, of the project is to continue the effort to protect open space along the Weemianic River banks and adjacent uplands.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question?
This is the article that came before the selectmen, I think, and the configuration changed for the property. I believe. And this is also property that I asked if, I think it's 21E,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you did.
and I never got that information. I certainly hope they have it on town meeting floor.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. 1-2-0.
Okay, move favorable action on Article 42. This is amend the town bylaw to see if the town will vote to amend the bylaws of the town of Wareham. Division 7, Article 3, Wareham Affordable Housing Trust. This is the one that deals with staggering the
Yes.
terms of office.
Second.
Motion made and second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Okay, Article, move favorable action on Article 43. This is to update Division 4, Article 3 of the earth removal regulations.
Motion made.
Second, sorry.
Motion second. Discussion.
Vote.
Wait,
Okay, vote. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Aye.
2-1?
2-1.
Okay, Article, I move favorable action on Article 44. This is on the, this is for the nitrogen, minimizing nitrogen from the wastewater.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion second. Question. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Steve,
I said,
He was no.
no, I thought the Board
1,
of
2.
Health was doing
It
that.
was 1-2-0.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm up to Article 45 now. Move favorable action, Article 45. See if the town will vote to transfer a sum or sums of money for the construction and installation of a 150,000-gallon water pollution control equalizing tank. Interesting.
Motion made.
Second for discussion.
Motion second. Discussion.
To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum or sums of money. I'd prefer to see from where to where, or whatever, and the balance of those accounts in this article.
Mr. Sullivan?
Excuse me, I was actually reading the documents and was not paying attention on there. The commentary, which I'll read through and may help explain where it's coming from, would be the article seeks to appropriate the amount needed to construct and install an equalizing tank for the processing of raw sewage from the Water Pollution Control Fund. The Water Pollution Control Facility is committed to addressing the ongoing issues of odors affecting the residents surrounding the facility. The FY 2011 certified retained earnings for the Water Pollution Control Fund was $2,916,344. So it's that the funds would be taken from the Water Pollution Control Fund, which would be the certified retained earnings, and moved into, I can ask the town account for the actual specific line with the code on there, if that's what would be.
I think they would
Mr.
have
Chair,
that
if I
at
might.
town meeting.
That's not, well, and that answers that question. But to transfer a sum, what sum? All of it? Some of it? Half of it?
No, there's a motion to transfer, move the town to vote to transfer appropriate $400,000 from the water pollution control retained earnings to water pollution control capital construction in process equalizing tank for purpose of constructing, installing a raw sewage equalizing tank at the water pollution control facility. That's the actual motion.
So is that motion, is that amendment
Okay,
going to
because
be made on
that's
the floor?
not the motion that's before us.
I understand that. That's
Amendment.
Amendment.
It'll be amended.
Okay,
This is the actual motion.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, just real quick.
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
This has been a lingering issue for many, many months and years, and
Mr.
Right.
Andrews, I'm still getting phone calls about it.
I am too. And so this corrects, I believe, an important part of the process by which we handle our wastewater, if that's a fair statement, Mr. Campino. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 300.
Move favorable action, Article 46. See if the town will vote to rescind the preservation restriction language placed upon the Fearing Tavern in Wareham.
Second.
Motion made, second. Question? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
2-1.
2-1-0.
2-1.
Move favorable action, Article 47. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to set a financial cap for the sewer work to be charged to the Oakdale Cremisa Neighborhood Betterment Fee of no more than $18,000.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question? Hearing none? All in favor?
Wait.
Up.
All right, go ahead.
Question?
No, it's all
Hearing
right.
none?
I think I know the answer, so go
Right,
ahead.
okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
1-1, abstain.
Abstain.
1-1-1.
1-1-1.
Move favorable action, Article 48. See if the town will vote. To see if the town will vote available funds, $30,000 to defray the cost of demolition of derelict property and to defray the cost of tax title filing in the town treasurer's office. This is inserted by Mr. Joseph Mulkern.
Second.
Motion made and second. Questions? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0.
Move favorable action, Article 49, to see if the town clerk will vote, to see if the town will vote to discontinue that portion of Gray Street shown on the map in the town clerk's office. This is inserted by Mr. David Rotella.
Second for discussion.
Motion made and second. Discussion?
If, Mr. Bowen,
Sorry?
that's okay. If town meeting voted to discontinue a portion of Gray Street, which is the section that is in question is a paper road, kind of,
Yes, ma'am.
what would happen? How would that property be purchased, say, by a resident that was interested in purchasing that? And if there were multiple residents that were interested in purchasing that property, would that be a bid process?
Through you, Ms. Sharon, that's correct. Chapter 30B, Section 16 would require that there be a procurement process. And it would be, we can't just sell it to person A or person B. You have to go through a procurement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-0-0.
Move favorable action, Article 50. This is to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to release any and all right, title, or interest that the town may have, if any, in those certain local initiative program affordable housing restrictions. And this one is,
Go ahead.
and this one is specific to 250 Marion Road in 2 Beach Street.
Second for discussion.
Motion made and second. Discussion?
Although we've had multiple lengthy conversations about 2 Beach Street Extension, I don't recall a single discussion about 250 Marion Road. Not one single one, not since I've been here. Just commentary.
I think that,
You can vote on it, do whatever.
Yeah.
I think, I would recommend to the board that we abstain.
I understand.
Sounds like a good recommendation. Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
Okay, 0-0-3.
Move favorable action, Article 51, to see if the town shall repeal Article 5, Section 580, wind energy facilities.
Second.
Motion made and second. Question? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
1-2-0.
And that's all,
Hallelujah.
folks. That's all I got. You got any more? Is there any more? Is there
Yes,
any more? Well, we no need to read them. We've
I
been
have a
through
question.
these.
I mean, any other town business? Sorry to hold you up, but,
Wait a minute. Mr. Chairman, you jumping around?
Oh, yeah, discussion of interim
You jumping around?
town administrator. I thought you said you were all done.
I don't blame him. Go ahead.
Okay, discussion.
This is
Oh.
discussion of interim town administrators, that
Well, right now, I think we have something going out to the MMA.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, the board did ask, and we did contact immediately the Mass Municipal Association, who's interested in assisting the town, and also the Edward Collins Center at UMass is another group that is proficient in the process of selection, providing options for interim town administrators. And also in your packets, you also should have from Municipal Resources Group a proposal to...
This is what came through this afternoon in the email?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. And so I guess I'm looking for some guidance from the board as to how you would like to proceed. I think you know my feelings because it's in the report for the process by which we go forward is one step, but also, you know, the day-to-day responsibilities as of per this board's vote, 5 p.m. on April 13th, you really need to put in place, you know, some interim, some acting, however you want to call it, and the board, I'm looking for some guidance and advice and counsel. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of questions. You know, I don't know that, you know, I appreciate it. I look forward to reading it. Obviously, we just got it today, but I look forward to reading that piece of it. I've done a lot of hiring over the years, and I guess just a few questions. One, you know, we need to post this position. Have we done that? Is there any posting, prepared job, you know, the job description?
As far as I know, we
posting.
haven't posted it yet, Mr.
Have we
Holmes.
done that? Have we gathered that? It's probably in this book?
No, I think the board asked me to contact the Mass Municipal Association, which I
I
did.
understood that.
we did not
You
direct.
didn't direct me to post anything. So
No, that's what I'm asking. Have we done
did.
it? Because
How-
we can do that on our own.
you certainly can.
Right.
But
yeah.
I'm glad to assist, and that's what I think the
Right.
tone and tenor of the
All right.
the report.
Then,
and
I guess at this point, and we got this afternoon, just do it next week. Give
Yep.
ourselves a chance to read it. And I mean, we need to get a posting to alert people that, I mean, I think we can do that.
You could, because we
With-
can just take the posting that we had when we posted the last.
Yeah. I think I'd make a motion that we post the position of town administrator.
Okay, you will have two more people coming, you know, we're missing two more people, so,
Second for discussion.
okay, discussion.
I guess I have a couple questions, and maybe Mr. Andrews or Mr. Bowen can answer these questions for me. Contacting the MMA, and they may provide a list of people that this board could interview for the interim position, since we need someone on an immediate basis, and then take more time for someone for a permanent position. But it kind of caught my eye for the municipal resources, because is this similar to providing a service, for example, Justin Cole,
Peter Sambo.
Peter Sanborn,
Yes.
those kinds of things. So municipal resources. So I'm assuming that this isn't the only company that provides this service. So my question is this, we could certainly use someone that was within the town for a very brief time until we could put out an RFP for an interim.
That's my point, though. In the same amount of time, we could post the job for a permanent town. We need a town administrator. So the
Yes,
motion
but we
was to
need,
the motion was to post a position for a town administrator. Get that done.
ASAP, so
While
that's,
we're,
Yes.
while we're doing this other stuff, we're posting the job to alert people that we're looking for a town administrator.
all right, we can vote on that and then continue the discussion if that's all right with the board.
Yeah, that's. Right, I just wanted
You
to make
wanna
sure.
vote on
we
it?
had the-
Yeah, sure.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? 300, that's to post
Post the job.
job for the town
However, but in
administrator.
the meantime, because I certainly, none of these positions are easily or filled in a very fast way. And my question is this, because we were in, the town administrator and the town accountant are two of the most important positions in the town, no question. And with the town accountant, the process was kind of struggling, and we found a good temporary solution if we choose to maintain that firm on a more permanent basis or on a long-term basis. That's certainly up to the board. But I wonder if contacting one of these services or putting out an RFP for one of these services at the same time, so that there's already somebody that's well experienced in stepping in the breach just for an interim.
As of right now, that is the board's prerogative to hire an interim.
That's
our
what I'm
prerogative.
saying.
So no matter what avenue we take, that's it. So we can search whichever way is comparable to the board.
But I think that the position that Mr. Holmes asked to go out, Mr.
Was
Cruz,
the permanent,
correct.
right, so now for
But
the
this
interim.
is also, I mean, we're talking about interim because there is,
Well, we can do the same thing. Put out a position.
well, the MMA, I've not seen a list. Do you have a list, Mr.
Well,
Andrews,
I
or
haven't
no?
read the
you've
whole
not?
thing, but they did say they had two people available. But it'll be the same thing as Justin Cole. So in the meantime, we can hire anyone. We can hire John Doe from, since Guy is here, from the water pollution if we want to, for temporary until we get somebody. from
That's
the-
what I'm
Are
talking
you
about.
saying there's two people through this company
No,
that's available right
no,
now? Is that what he just said?
no,
What?
no.
Yeah, I thought they said they had two people.
Oh, that's what Mr. Cruz might be saying about this. Is that, I don't know.
It looks like on the back page, there's two resumes there.
Attached find staff profiles of two of the consultants who are currently available for this assignment.
See, so,
But it's still up to the Board of Selectmen to,
well, I think you need to put this has to go out.
Right.
To bid, you can't just,
That's my point. That's my question,
right.
Mr. Andrews. Can you answer for me?
Chairman, the guidance I'm looking for would, through you, Mr. Chairman, do you want to post a position of interim town administrator, or do you want to post a position of town administrator?
Both.
You want to do both?
Well, see, I think
We
that
just voted to.
I know, but I thought that I was voting on posting interim.
No,
But
you need
apparently I
both.
was not.
You need both of them. You need someone to take over like today.
But that's it, that's the interim. That's what I'm saying,
Right.
Mr.
You need somebody
Cruz.
today, whether we pick Mr. Bowen
Okay.
or
No,
anybody.
no.
It'd be great.
Or
In
Mr.
that light.
Sullivan.
Right.
in that
Or
light, I would
someone.
make a
Right.
motion to post for an interim town administrator as well.
Right, okay, post both the interim and the town administrator.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could follow up, do you want me to post a position that we have on file, or would you like to look at the position, make adjustment, or make any modification to it?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see it first.
Okay,
Would you?
we'll get it off to you in the morning.
For the permit.
For the permanent one?
Yeah.
Right. Now, if I could just elaborate to Selectwoman Begley's point, the Edward Collins Center at the
Yes.
University of Massachusetts has a process by which they have interim town administrators that are available to be selected, and I have contacted Mr. Steve McGoldrick and Mr. Dick Kobayashi no, that's a different one.
No,
That's
it's a
separate
different one.
Okay, that's
So,
what we want.
to give
We
you
want
some
this one,
options.
we want another one.
Right, you can take a look at those options, and you can select, I believe, well, the attorney's here, you can select from the University of Mass's stable or bullpen, interim town
Bullpen's
administrators.
better.
Right, you can interview them, you can talk with them, you can say, okay, while you're out looking for a permanent town administrator. So there's a
Okay.
couple different ways to go.
Okay, just to elaborate on that. So if we went that route, Attorney Bowen, for the Edward Collins Center, so because it's not a firm, like, say, Municipal Resources, I'm assuming is a firm. So because the Edward Collins Center is not a firm, is that what you're saying to me, Mr. Andrews, that they It's kind of an association?
They're a center under the University of Massachusetts
Right.
that
So
provides
if
this service.
if they supplied us with some people's qualifications,
Sure.
and this board said, well, gee, we'd really like to interview 3 of them, we wouldn't have to go through any kind of bigger process than that for an interim, would we, Mr. Bowen?
No, ma'am. I mean, if I may speak freely, you're probably going to need an interim,
Correct.
Amen.
Correct.
Well, it's acting.
then,
Correct.
oh, okay,
then
acting,
there's an
interim,
then there's the permanent.
right.
Correct.
So you want to set yourself up so that on 501 on April 13th, you have the acting.
Right.
Then you could go to this group or any other group that in sound business practice you thought was good to go to, interview
For interim.
for interim, and then simultaneously you'll be advertising for the permanent.
And who knows, in the next 3 weeks, maybe we'll have an interim, we don't need an act. I mean, who knows, but
Yeah.
we need to get them both out there, the interim and the permanent, and then deal with that as the time moves on.
Okay, so we'll work on that. Like you said, we'll have active, interim, permanent,
Yes,
going out. Okay.
And,
Any other questions on that?
oh, no, that's a motion.
Do we need a motion?
There wasn't a
We have
motion.
a motion.
No, we had a
To
motion on the
post
permanent.
to recruit for the interim. That's what we're discussing right now.
We're discussing it, but it wasn't a motion, was it?
No, I thought, well, I make a motion that we,
No, I thought we had to post both interim and,
oh, okay.
I thought we did. I have it written down here.
All right.
Post both of them. So we have a
It's
motion.
okay, I thought I only voted on Part B for interim.
I make a motion that we post both.
We've all lost our minds after 9:30.
Permanent and interim town administrator's position.
Okay, questions? Who's second? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-0-0. So ask for both of them.
Under that same topic, if I might, I would propose, make a motion that we form a interview committee made up of the Board of Selectmen, 2 department heads, and 2 citizens at large, as we did with the city director, to screen applicants and interview.
Well, in a charter.
It's a motion.
Okay, go ahead,
So
make
it's
a
either
motion.
seconded or not.
Make a second. Any seconds?
No?
No
Fails for
seconds.
lack of a second.
Yeah, because on that, that's the position of the Board of Selectmen, and we will have 2 more people on board. So we'll let that go for that. While we're talking about the town administrator, and I have a question, and I probably need a motion made unless usually the board can make a motion at the dire straits, but what I was talking about, on the 23rd of this past month, I talked to both Mr. Bowen and Mr. Andrews. Since he had given his letter of resignation, I talked to them both about having the letter and getting the contract, the waiver signed, so we can have it. I also informed them that any decisions for personnel matter or negotiation be held off until we have a new man in. And I think we need to have a motion, because I told him personally, as the chairman of the board, but now I want to come from the board itself. In other words,
What was it? You're talking about the transition plan?
transition plan, in other
Thought we
words,
already discussed that
no personnel matters or negotiation is to take place between now and the 13th by Mr. Andrews.
Mr. Chair,
Unless if it's a verbal reprimand, that'll go into the file. But to make a decision on personnel to hire to fire, I don't think that's,
Mr. Chair,
yes, go ahead.
we are not, by charter, we cannot get involved in day-to-day. We are not the town administrator, we're not the interim town administrator. By charter, we cannot do that.
We are in charge of the town administrator. We're giving him the directive.
I'm not sure I understand. Are we talking about the transition plan?
No.
Transition plan.
That we haven't seen yet, but we just received tonight? That's what I
Well, Mr.
understand.
Holmes, what I'm understanding this to say is that he's asking Mr. Andrews not to make any personnel decisions from this time forward.
From now until the 13th, to fire anyone or any negotiation until we have the new people on board. I don't know if you've been in private business, but in private business, that's the way it's worked.
Well,
because-
usually the person's not here when they give you the letter of
Right, yeah, they
resignation,
usually
this
leave,
one
so you
never
start
comes
right
out.
away. So this will clear it up.
Walk you to your car.
He can recommend, like he said on this transition, it's a recommendation, but for him to put it in place, and if you want to quote charter, the charter says he can appoint somebody. It takes 10 days after you appoint somebody for us to relieve that person and put something in that we have ourselves. So right now, the way the charter reads, he can say, Rich Bowen, you're the town administrator, and he's the town administrator.
I decline.
Well, anyways, and then it takes 10 days from that day for us to take him out and put someone else in. So this is just to cover us. In other words, he's been here all this time. He's only got a week and a half. I don't see there's any problem in personnel matters. If it's been this long, whatever we've been doing, a week and a half is not going to put us under the boat if we're already under the boat.
I think I agree with you, Walter. I'm not sure you're using the right terminology.
Well, I
that's all.
brought it up if you
In other
want
words,
to.
if somebody's out sick and the department head fires that person, you're not talking about that.
No, you're not talking. I'm talking about Mr. Andrews making the decision.
You're going to fire every director in town and move town hall to Warren, right? I think that's the kind of stuff you're talking. Well, no, because you said personnel matters, and that makes a difference. See, I was talking about this transitional plan.
Well, Mr.
So
Bowen,
read through it.
you heard what I was trying to get at, because I talked to you and you said yes, that you had informed them the same thing that we talked about.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman. This is probably an issue that we should try to resolve on a point of common sense rather than a point of law, because it's going to be, there are issues either way, there are charter issues, but I think if you're talking about personnel matters, you're probably really what you want to be talking about are disciplinary matters, not personnel matters. You know, so for example, on Friday the 13th at 4:59, will, and I say this with no disrespect intended to the town administrator, is the town administrator going to enter into a blood purge of whoever and fire all kinds of people? I seriously doubt that is what is going to happen. And I'm sure that Mr. Andrews is probably very sensible to the fact that there are charter rights of appeal, there are hearings, and in speaking with Mr. Andrews about this, I doubt, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Andrews, I doubt very much whether Mr. Andrews wants to be coming back as a witness in hearings and things of that sort. So this might be the sort of matter that's best resolved by a representation by Mr. Andrews to the board, if he's willing to give that representation, that he has no plans on taking any disciplinary matters between now and Friday the 13th when he finishes up. That's just how I'd suggest handling it, and that avoids the legal niceties that are going to be involved in a different approach.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and that's what I think the chairman is alluding to, and I would think that you've summed it up nicely, but I would just, I'm not sure if it would violate anything, but I would say that if there is a major issue, right, that Mr. Andrews would call the board together in executive session and just brief us on it before the action is taken, so that we're at least aware of it.
Be highly
It's reasonable, just as we would do
Yeah.
in any other, it's conducting town business. If something was to come up, he would come before us.
I'd recommend that.
executive, and discuss it. Right?
Good idea.
So you want to make a motion to that effect, or this is good enough for us as the board
I think
agreeing
that's already
as
there.
a member? Okay,
I think-
so it's there.
Well, we're
Because they had
talking
both
about-
agreed on it, but since I said it myself, I want the consensus of the board.
I think that's normal business practice in
Right,
town.
it
that
is.
If something was like that was going to happen, then he would call us and we would have a meeting. I think it's suffice.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, any sewer business?
No, town business.
Okay,
Can we do town business?
yes.
It's under town business. Mr. Chairman, it's been my pleasure to work with you for the past 2 years, be friends with you for several years. And I would like to take a moment on behalf of the Board of Selectmen in the town of Wareham and award you with this certificate of recognition to Walter B. Cruz Sr. in appreciation of your dedicated service to the town of Wareham as a member of the Board of Selectmen, including your service to committees, the Community Events Committee, Finance Committee, Historical Commission, Joint Transportation Planning Group, and Planning Board. The Board thanks you for freely giving your time and the countless hours you have given to its citizens throughout the community in an effort to improve their quality of life and represent their views, needs, and concerns. This was actually signed on the 20th day of March, and we held off until tonight because it's your last meeting. The Wareham Board of Selectmen, Stephen M. Holmes, Kara A. Winslow, Ellen M. Begley, and J. Michael Schneider.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I want to thank the citizens of the town of Wareham for giving me the honor to serve them for the last 3 years. Thank you very much.
Lucia's got a good phone now. You got it?
They're standing in front of us.
Maybe our partner in the back will get us a nice blow-up.
You had that box?
Okay. Takes care of that piece. Thank you. All right, sewer business.
Sewer business, we have none?
No,
Liaison.
Liaison? None?
none.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made, motion second. Thank you very much,
How about
ladies and gentlemen.
all in favor?
All in favor? Well, I must be in a hurry to get away from this place. No, I enjoyed it while I had it. Thank you.
Nice job, Walter.